Thanks for watching Donald Mo's Electrical Services. So, I'm in my barn. It's a mess. I haven't really had time this season to do a little organizing, and I'm going to. I'll probably do it when it slows down a little bit. It's been a busy year. But, so I was watching a couple of videos, and I've also heard this on the street, but it's about people like bragging about making $1,000 a day. And there are contractors out there, as well as handymen out there, that are very boastful about this. And um, as a residential electrician, I think it's offensive. I think it's offensive to me in my trade that there's guys out there that are ripping the homeowner off that way. But I find it offensive that because of them, the trade gets a bad rap. It's a horrible, horrible business model to try to make $1,000 a day, especially when, if you look at your overhead, which is basically everything that you need to keep yourself afloat. Um, it's when you're going to make $1,000 a day, you're not looking at your overhead. You're trying to make as much money as possible, and for a business model, that's horrible to do. All right, um, there's no longevity in that. All right, especially with homeowners are wise and they're becoming more and more educated into the trades. At least I'm trying to. I would love my homeowners to be educated. And the more I have a relationship with the homeowner, the more I try to educate them, regardless if they're hiring me. But whoever they hire, they can take this bit of education and apply that. All right. Um, when you go and you try to whack someone over the head for $1,000 a day, it's not hard to do. Okay, you just kind of have to be soulless. You just hit them for as much money as possible, and you make $1,000 a day. But you're not going to make it. You're not going to last that long. You might last a little bit if it's a busy season or the economy's doing all right. You'll survive, but not long. All right, because the homeowner is watching their money, and they're watching the time that you're spending on their site or on their home. And if they see that you're there for an hour and a half and you whack them at $300 and you're supposed to be a handyman, or even if it's on the commercial side, an investor, if an investor notices you're only there for half a day and you're whacking them at $600, um, now this is labor costs, not materials are different. Okay, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But there's no longevity in that business model, okay? Whereas if you approach the homeowner and you charge them a fair rate, um, they can afford you, one, and two, they see where the rate comes from. It's just not charges coming out of thin air. And they're more likely to refer you to your neighbors, their friends, so on and so on. But if you're going in there and you're just whacking them, okay, their opinion of you when they're like at their neighbor's barbecue or talking to another friend, either you won't be brought up at all because they might be embarrassed even saying that you paid that much for only one day's worth of labor, or they're gonna tell their friend not to hire you regardless of what you were able to do. And if you were doing electrical work and you didn't do it correctly, which most handymen don't even know how to do things correctly, they know how to make things work, but they don't know how to do things correctly. In about 6 months' time, when that fan that you installed, it starts to wobble, okay, or that dimmer that you put in that says that it can dim LEDs and it says it's a dimmable LED bulb starts flickering, okay, these things, all of a sudden, that reputation of yours diminishes, okay? And if you're whacking them for a high rate, it diminishes even further. If you're looking to be in the trades for a long period of time, and I'm in residential electric, I specialize in residential electric. I still do commercial, but I love residential electric. Um, I specialize in knob and tube. It's I just enjoy it. I enjoy the interactions. I enjoy the service industry of it. I form the relationship with the homeowner, okay? My prices are fair to the homeowner so the homeowner doesn't feel like they're being taken advantage of. So as I charge the homeowner and I'm there, I charge a fair, honest rate, they're more likely to call me for the next problem. I would rather be there for all the problems of the house over the years rather than just a one-time shop. Okay, and that's these guys that are whacking people for this high amount. Not only do they give contractors a bad name because the contractors supposedly can't be trusted, this and that, never tell the contractor your budget, stuff like that. It's because of those guys. They'll spend up your budget, and it's true. There are some nasty contractors out there that'll take advantage of you in a heartbeat, and they give a bad name for everyone else. All right, so personally, when I approach a new homeowner, I give them two numbers. I give them my bid, and I also offer my time and material. And what we do, and this is just normal practice, is we give our bid rate, and then we give them a time and material option. And if it's a job where we can keep track of our time, we'll keep track of our time, and at the end of the job, whatever is a better deal for the homeowner, we'll offer that deal to them. So if my bid is $1,200 and it's a day and a half for recessed lighting, and their ceiling was drywall instead of plaster. So drywall is easier to install hi-hats in than plaster is. When we install, at the end of the day, when we're done installing the hi-hats, if our time and material is cheaper than our bid rate, we will give them our time and material rate and we'll invoice them out that way, and they might save $300 or $400. That way, one, the saving goes to the homeowner, which he deserved. You know, it didn't take us as long as we expected it to take. The homeowner's happy, and the homeowner is more likely to refer us for the next job. Not only that, but when the neighborhood gets together and they go into their home and they realize that they had a beautiful lighting design done and it was done correctly, the hi-hats were placed perfectly, the correct LEDs are in there, the correct dimmers are in there. So not only does it look nice, it looks the best it's gonna look. You're more likely to get a referral from that versus someone going in there that is a carpenter that said, so electricians make the rate they make based on their experience and their knowledge. Okay, so if I make, and my company bills out at a mechanical rate of $85 an hour, okay? So if I'm going in there $85 an hour and say a carpenter bids it and he knows my rate and he decides, well, if I do the electric, I'm gonna get his rate too. And they do, that's what carpenters do. They see the electrical portion of the budget and they want more, they get greedy. They wanna make that money too. So, but here's the nasty little secret. Carpenters don't have a clue, okay? They think installing a hi-hat, hey, look what I did. I didn't put a hi-hat in. Yay! All right. But what they're doing, they're giving the homeowner a disservice. One, they don't know what product should be suited where. Where a Juno can is best, a carpenter most likely can't get his hands on a Juno product, or he says they're too expensive. Okay, well, how does he know what? Being too expensive, it's objective, okay? If a Juno can is perfect for a certain type of situation, that extra money is worth it, okay? So go get a Juno can. But in their eyes, it's more money out of their pocket, they keep less in their pocket, so they're gonna go buy junk can. Now, a carpenter's happy, or a carpenter or handyman or someone other than an electrician, they're happy that they were able just to do the job, let alone if they did it right or not. They're happy they were just capable of making it work. And in their eyes, that's a victory. That's the bottom bar for me. You better be able to not only install it correctly and place it correctly, but just making it work, that's nothing. That doesn't mean anything to me. Anyone can make it work, okay? So when you go to like a living room and you put your hi-hats in and you put the wrong product in and you put the wrong bulb in and you put a dimmer in that doesn't work correctly, it's gonna show. And it won't show right away because no light is always better than, some light is always better than no light. But eventually, the homeowner is gonna start noticing the bulb is placed funny, or they're not getting a good light output, or their walls are still dark even though they have recessed lights in. Okay, this is all comes from trying to make more money than you should make. Okay, if you just let an electrician do his job, or if you build accordingly to your knowledge and your rate, an electrician can go in there and put the hi-hat in a manner that it reflects off the walls. It gives a good wall wash effect. The socket sits correctly in the trim. He uses the correct LED bulb with the correct dimmer, so they're compatible. So when you dim it, it's a nice smooth up and down dim, and it doesn't flicker or flutter. All right. This all comes back to, once again, paying for what you're worth. All right. My knowledge and my experience is why I charge $85 an hour. It's not because I can afford it on the market. If I go by just the market, I could hit people harder. And my business practice is the longevity of the home. So whenever they need electrical, they know that I'm affordable. They know they can call me versus, I don't sell myself as cheap. I just sell myself as honest and affordable. All right, where you get these guys that are all about trying to make just the money, but they don't talk about the quality of their work. They don't talk about how they approach a job. They don't talk about the damage they do to the home. There's all these other factors that aren't being talked about. And that's why, when homeowners go for the low bidder, low bidders will do some of the worst practices. They'll put in the cheapest materials. I mean, be very careful. Getting the same quality never happens when you go with a low bidder, okay? And it could be anything from the guy's not reliable to the guy, he's dirty, it could be a number of reasons, okay? You got to be careful about the low bidder. So, for instance, a low bidder. All right, say we have 4 hi-hats, and I'll go back to a recessed light. So a low bidder will put in 4 hi-hats at a price of $500, okay, where 4 hi-hats for us will probably be around $600, okay? We're using Juno Canon trim. All right, we're also using Green Creative, okay, it's a certain type of LED. We're putting a CL dimmer in, okay? The CL dimmer reads the LED bulb correctly, and it dims it correctly so you have the correct color light temperature. Doesn't throw offset colors of green, doesn't throw offset colors of blue. All right, it's nice. So the low bidder, he's $100 cheaper. He's gonna go to a box store. He's gonna get a box store hi-hat. He's gonna get a box store trim for that hi-hat. That trim will discolor. Might take 6 months, a year, but it starts turning yellow. All right. 2, the bulb sits too close to the surface of your ceiling. So you're not getting a good reflective light. You're basically getting the light output from the bulb only, okay? And the bulb sits so close to the ceiling that it looks ridiculous because the trim is darkened up behind it. It doesn't actually reflect off the trim in any way. The trim is also shiny. It doesn't have a flat finish, it has a very shiny finish, okay? And to top it all off, he uses that same LED from the box store that now, after about 3 to 4 weeks on a dimmer, now they're starting to flicker and they don't hold the dim. They don't adjust correctly. Even with a CL dimmer, you put some of these junk LED bulbs in the ceiling, and you're not going to get a true incandescent color like a 2700 degree Kelvin, like that nice yellow warm light. You won't receive that, okay? It could be anything. It could look dark, or could have a spot on the floor where it's bright in one area, but the optics are horrible, so it doesn't give you a good even spread of light. These are all things that are caused by that $100 worth of savings. What would be better is if you can communicate with the homeowner and form a relationship with the homeowner and discuss the different options they may have. If you give the homeowner the option of which way they want to go, and you weigh out the pros and the cons, let the homeowner decide what he wants to do. He might wait and do the design next month when he can do everything he wants instead of doing it right then and there, which I'd rather a homeowner wait if it means him getting a better lighting design. I also go into materials, all right? I don't mark up my materials. Never have, never will. I don't believe in it. I believe the homeowner, if the homeowner has the right to choose a material, I would rather them choose the material based on its cost. That way, I'm not marking up a piece of crap and then the homeowner thinks he's getting something quality because of the cost of the materials. That's one factor. But factor number two, it's easier for me to design lighting if I know what the cost is and I can relay the cost to the homeowner without a markup on it. All right, if the homeowner can only afford $250 for an exhaust fan, all right, and I know there's box stores have exhaust fans for like $80 and they're junk. They're not that they're junk, but there's far better exhaust fans for $200. Okay, like a Panasonic Whisper. All right, there's no room for markup on it, but who cares? The product is that nice. You should relay that cost right to the homeowner because you're going to put in a 10 times better product. It's going to give you a better name because it's going to operate better. And the homeowner feels he's being treated fairly, which will give you the referral. Okay? If you're in this trade for the longevity of the trade, you're not trying to make as much money in one day as possible. What you're trying to do is build a trusting relationship for the longevity of your career as well as the home. And if you're honest with the homeowner and you're fair with your pricing, slowly but surely, you will build a business that it'll fund all of your needs, all right? And you won't have to feel like a dirtbag trying to make as much money as possible, whacking people over the head. You know, that's something that, I don't know. So again, it's a bad business practice to try to just whack people and make as much money every day as possible. All right, it's just bad business. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if that was the case. My electrical career has been impressive. It's been nice. I've done government work. I've done 85% of my work is the homeowner. Maybe 80 to 85% is dealing with the homeowner. Being honest with them. Telling them what's really going on in their home. I can spot a hack in a house a mile away. If I'm inside of a homeowner's home and I start opening boxes up, I can see what the guy did. If he just jammed the wires in, if he placed them correctly, if he grounded it correctly, if he just took the wire off the old switch and put it on the new switch without really cleaning the box up, which that's kind of what most handymen do. Most handymen will take a picture of it and put it right back together how it was. Okay, and that's the worst idea you can do because you don't know if how it was correct to begin with. All you're doing is duplicating what's there. That's not good business when it comes to electric. It's more dangerous than anything else. Because one, if it was bad before, or if it was having issues before, or if anything was going wrong with it before, now it has you touching it, and you don't even... So when certain handymen or carpenters, they have like screwdrivers and everything, but it's not the same as an electrician's tool bag. Our screwdrivers are sharp, tight, they're expensive for a reason. Because if you don't get the correct torque on a screw that's carrying electricity, the amperage of the electricity will cause that screw to become loose over time, okay? So that's why we use the tools we use, because there's a reason for it. We don't have just some rounded screwdriver that seemed like it looked like it went through a couple of wars in our tool bag. Most of our tools are usually new, and if they're not new, you should have new ones, all right? It's because they're needed. It's not because One of the worst things you can do is go up to a switch or an outlet and use that rounded ass screwdriver that you've been beating the drywall with, okay? You're never gonna be able to tighten the screw down correctly, all right? Same thing goes as don't stab into the back of the outlet. These types of practices are not good for the longevity of the electric in the home. So if you want to form a relationship with the homeowner so you get more than one job, correct practices are the best avenue to do so. And don't whack them over the head. Be fair with them. And you'll get return business and return business and return business. So I went all over a little bit longer than I was planning on. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.